That is the episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. The entire when we were off air but on camera, you didn't make one comment about my sweet vest. What's wrong with you, Soto? Sporting a new vest, not one comment, not one compliment, not one shit talk, not one observation. When have you ever seen me in a vest?
It just, I have no words.
In like you're so disgusted by it, or in that you're so indifferent to it?
I just have no words, RJ. Honestly,
it's done the impossible. It's shut up, Juan Soto.
It's done the impossible. I have
if I ever want from now on, if I ever want you to shut up, I'm going to put on this vest.
God.
All right. Well, I don't want you to shut up today, so I'll take it off. But brother-in-law gave me a vest. I think I'm not going to be a vest guy. Like I'm always camping. Like I'm always camping, but
you're not always camping, okay? Like you go like once a year.
No, but if I'm wearing a vest, I feel like I'm always camping. It's like if it's brisk outside but not too cold, you go vest.
Did you say always campy or always camping?
I'm going to put this vest back on. Make you shut up if you keep asking dumb questions. Raiders, Chargers going down Sunday. SoFi right down the street from us. The Chargers were minus 550 favorites 2 days ago. They've been bet down to minus 4.5. Money's coming in on old Las Vegas. And it's, I guess, technically the first home game of the season. Because it was 65% Steelers fans in Allegiant last week. And according to Joe Reedy of AP, he got an email earlier this week from a ticket agency suggesting a 65-35 split in Raiders fan Sunday at Chargers. First home game of the year for us. That's good.
Well, I mean, we kind of knew this was going to happen for this week. Last week was just, I think, if we would have like played the Browns or, something like that, it wouldn't have been as bad. But Steelers fans, they travel well anyway.
Yeah,
there's only probably a handful of teams that could have done that or that would have done that for the opening game, because they don't care how much the tickets cost. They'll pay whatever.
Well, there are a few surefire consistencies in the NFL. Sometimes the Raiders are good. Sometimes the Raiders are bad. You can always count on the Charger fans not showing up, or Charger fan, I guess, because there's only like 7 of them. You can always count on that.
17, let's be fair.
17, I'm sorry. I like to round down. I'm bitter and angry. Well, whoever shows up there, I'm worried they might be pretty happy, because this Chargers offense is scary.
They can put up points, man.
Scary.
And it's all over the place. It's not just 1 or 2 people. It's the entire offense.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, their rush game ain't great. We'll get to the injury report in a little bit, but Austin Ekeler is doubtful. Might still play, but doubtful. And then Mike Williams, torn ACL, out. So it might not be as diversified as you think. It might just be Justin Herbert to Keenan Allen. That's basically what it was last week. Last week at the Vikings. It's weird to have a must-win game in week 3, but the 0-2 Vikings versus 0-2 Chargers was about as must-win as you can get in week 3. We've talked about the odds of you making the playoffs. When you're 0-2, there's only a 10% chance. So if you're 0-3, it's like 0.0001% chance of you making the playoffs. So it was kind of a weird must-win game in week 3. Justin Herbert showed out. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, 123.8 rating. He has this season 74.5 completion percentage. That's first. 8.1 yards per attempt. That's second. 988 yards total. That's fourth. 117.1 passer rating. That's second. And also remember, like, this is in the Tua. Like, Tua just dropped 70. And still Herbert's like touching those numbers. And most scary of all, 0 interceptions in 3 games.
Yeah, he hasn't turned. He's the only quarterback who not turn the ball over.
I've understood last season Raider Nation not wanting to give Justin Herbert his flowers. Like, yeah, like fuck him. Like, I hate it.
Where, Jar?
Like, I hate him as much as you guys do, right? He's awful and terrible. Like, he's a Charger. Screw him. But to not acknowledge how good he is, like, I get it. You don't want to say a Chargers quarterback is good, but it's one thing to like dump on his head, and it's another thing to bury your head in the sand and be like, oh, I'm not worried about him. Like, you need to be worried about him.
We need to be worried about him. A couple things I wanted to address here. Yeah, bolt up is stupid. Bolt ons are sweet. Just want to make that clear.
Is a breast reduction a bolt down?
Ugh. That's a spitting in the face of God.
Right.
That's what that is.
It's actually called slapping God in the face.
You're right.
From what was that movie? Superbad?
Superbad, yeah.
Get to look at these warlocks.
Get to look at these warlocks.
You
They
gotta
start running after her. Terrible. So I just want to make sure. I don't know what else has been going on in Raider Nation. I know the two of us have only talked about starting Aiden O'Connell if Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't go. So it's a choice between Aiden O'Connell and Brian Hoyer. It's not bench Jimmy Garoppolo for Aiden O'Connell. Just want to make sure that's clear because I've been getting some of this too. And I just want to make sure as far as RJ and I go, we have not said to bench Jimmy Garoppolo for Aiden O'Connell. We said if Jimmy Garoppolo can't go, Aiden O'Connell should be the choice.
We also haven't had that discussion either. So you're correct. Those words have not been uttered out of our mouths, but we also haven't discussed it as well. Do you want to?
It's too early.
Okay.
I think it's too early.
Okay. Keenan Allen last week against the Vikings, 20 targets, 18 receptions, 215 yards. Like I said, with Mike Williams out, it might be a lot of just like, hey, let's double team Keenan Allen. Let's bracket his ass and then see where we can go from there. Quentin Johnson hasn't really gotten going, even with Mike Williams' absence, the rookie. It could be his breakout game. But I still think, like, look, I think if we're Patrick Graham, the answer is obvious. Like, you're rushing everybody, you're blitzing your linebackers, you're double teaming, you're bracketing Keenan Allen, and then you go from there. Right? No brainer.
Well, yeah, it's you have that's what you want to get done. How you go about it, yeah, you have to do it a little bit more covert than that, but definitely you have to take away as best you can, take away or limit Keenan Allen. And you have to, there's going to come a point in time where you can't protect everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he's trying to do right now, what Patrick Graham is trying to do is he's trying to protect certain areas of his team.
Yep.
And there comes a point in time where you just got to be like, listen, you just got to go out there and do it.
Yep.
I can't baby you anymore. I can't scheme things around how poor you are at doing X, Y, and Z. Like you're getting paid to do this. You're a professional athlete. You have to go out there and get it done. And there comes a point in time where you kind of just have to go out there and let them do it. And if we get torched, we get torched because we've been getting torched anyway.
So what are you saying?
We can't just play that shell coverage and expect our defensive line to carry us. We have to make decisions harder for Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just let him sit back there and pick us apart because he will do it. The book is out on us now. If we're back in that shell, just pick us apart all the way down the field because we don't have the players or the athletes or whatever. Don't make the decisions easy. The same, very similar with Josh Allen. Josh Allen is prone to turnovers if you force him into turnovers. If you make throws difficult, if you make decisions difficult, he's prone to do that. If you make stuff easy for him, even a turnover machine like Josh Allen will complete 80% of his passes. So if he'll do that, what is Justin Herbert going to do? So
Josh Allen had 4 turnovers the week before he played us, 0 when he played us.
And he had like 2 the next week or something like that against the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
We have to make sure that we do our best to not make things easy. Making things safe is not always the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with the play call of being more aggressive against the Steelers last week. I have a problem with Marcus Epps not doing his job. Marcus Epps not doing his job and biting hard on the play fake when he's the deep safety, that's not supposed to happen, and that can't happen. And if he did his job correctly, that pass wouldn't have been completed, that long touchdown pass. But that goes along with do your job. Don't do anyone else's job. Don't try to do more than what you're supposed to do. Just do your job. And if we try to do that instead, I think we're going to find that we're going to have a lot less big plays against us, and we're going to make things a little bit more difficult on opposing quarterbacks. I think right now it's too easy for opposing quarterbacks.
Well, look, if your mindset is our defensive personnel are all going to do their jobs, we're going to be very sad tomorrow because they're not good. Like, they're not going to do their jobs. They're not good, right? It's not like a well-coached elite personnel defense. It's like neither, right? So it's just like, well, look, here's your job, do it, and we'll all be happy. It's like, no, like PG has to baby them. You have to. You have to carry.
How's that worked out? How's that worked out so far?
What's the alternative? Count on them all to do their jobs? I would love for that to, like, Marcus, and Marcus Epps of all people, right? He's the veteran. I could again, it's not forgivable, but I can at least understand if he like covered his man and just got beat. Right? He's old. Like, his legs aren't what they used to be. He's slower. He did his job and got beat. I'd be like, okay, like, that sucks. It's not okay, but I understand the why. He's the veteran that bit, right? This isn't Bennett. This isn't like a rookie that was just like, oh, I got
talking
fooled.
Epps or Peters?
Epps. What did I say?
Epps
Peters?
Isn't old.
Did I say Peters or Epps?
You said Epps, but you said he was old. He's not old.
Peters is the old one.
Okay. Well, Peters, I don't know that Peters necessarily bit. I think he knew that he was supposed to have that deep safety help, so he was playing under. Mm-hmm. Is what the problem was. Look,
the miscommunication of the veterans is what is bothering me.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So, like I said against the Bills, getting outplayed by the Bills is one thing. They're a better team than us. Like, flat out, bottom line, they're a better team. Getting outplayed, fine. But the self-inflicted wounds, that can't happen. And that's what I'm talking about. If you go out there and you do schematically what you're supposed to do and you just get outplayed, I can live with that. I can't live with the mistakes. And the mistakes is the problem, offensively and defensively. We had two huge mistakes defensively. A drop pick six, which is probably one of the easiest catches you're going to have, right?
One of the most sure-handed defenders in football on paper.
And that's what I'm talking about. Do your job. Don't try to do anything crazy. Don't try to do anything you're not supposed to do. Marcus Epps screwed up on that long pass. He bit way too hard on that run, and he forgot that he's supposed to be the last line of defense because he wanted to make the big play. He wanted to make sure, I got to make sure I'm the guy that goes over and stuffs the hole. Like, no, dude, that's not your job on this play. That's not your job on this call. Do your job. If we get outplayed by a better team, fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with us going out, getting outplayed, and making these dumb mistakes.
Well, I think what makes a big chunk of what makes bad players bad is mistakes, right? Like, these are guys that we have because they were somewhere else and weren't wanted. It's like, it's that kind of a defense, right? It's bottom 5 defensive roster money-wise. And that's with Chandler Jones, super inflated contract whilst he's sitting in a jail cell in Las Vegas. Like,
he's not in jail. He bailed out.
He's bailed out, but
RJ, you better watch out, man. If you don't freaking calm down on Chandler Jones, he's gonna come over and steal all your stuff from your front yard and burn it.
He's gonna claim that he's gonna claim what? That I what does he claim so far? That I'm Mark Davis is pimping player wives.
McDaniels is a cokehead. McDaniels had Aaron Hernandez killed. What else? Josh McDaniels molested his whatever, his niece or something like that, or stepdaughter. I don't know. He said a bunch of stuff.
Losing it. All right, take over. My daughter has to pee. Right back.
All right. So what I was saying is, we have to let these guys play in game. I don't know that we've just called an actual game and not try to protect our defense. A lot of times what you're going to see is players may even play up during games that they didn't show you, things they didn't show you during practice. So that's up to coaches to try to disguise things on what we're doing. We're not that team. Okay. We're not that team that can just line up next to you. This is what we're going to do. We're going to tell you what we're going to do. And you can't stop it. Like, we're not Larry Bird. Okay. We're not going to tell you, hey, I'm going to shoot the ball from right here. I'm a pump fake. I'm going to shoot it from right here and I'm going to make it. We're not that team. There are very few teams that are like that. Even the best teams out there, the two best teams, the NFC best team is probably the 49ers, and the AFC right now, the best team is the Dolphins. Even they don't line up and tell you what they're going to do. Even they give you a little bit of razzle dazzle. And
the Dolphins do it against Denver. They're like, all right, second string offense, we're going to run the ball 70-yarder.
But they're still a good offense.
I get what you're saying. I'm fucking around with you.
So it's like,
where, John?
Oh God, RJ,
I'm catching up to you. I'm catching up to you.
So that's coaching wise, and I've seen a little bit more of a willingness to be creative, not maybe play call wise, but how things are disguised, be a little bit less predictable by Patrick Graham. I have not seen any of that whatsoever from Josh McDaniels. It's the same offense, the same formations, the same plays, the same tendencies. And to his credit, there are players that are open, but you're asking your offense to be damn near perfect when you're telling the offense or the defense what you're going to do by your tendencies and formations, and expecting them to not stop you. So you have to, Josh McDaniels has to increase the percentage and decrease his tendencies. And the problem is he's just not willing to do that. He's very stuck in that like 90s, early 2000s way of thinking, where it's like, here's our play, line up and go. And it's not, motion is huge in the NFL right now. Motion was huge in college like 5 years ago. Everyone started using it. Well, now everyone's using it in the pros. And if you don't use motion, your tendencies are going to get picked out. There are these guys, these lifelong guys, they don't want to be head coaches. They just sit there and they sit in the defensive room and watch tape all day. They're either divorced or they have a very unhappy wife, and they're just sitting there slobs, eating, just watching film on you all freaking day. And that's just not the defensive coordinators.
I'm jealous.
That's the scouts. That's the assistants. They're just sitting there and clocking things and putting things into a system and telling you this situation, this formation, this is what they're going to do. You can't feed into that. You have to change it up. The best tendency is to not have any tendencies or have very little tendencies. And the problem is we're basically giving the blueprint. Every week, it's getting easier for the opposing defenses to clock what we're going to do. And I don't see, and I haven't seen Josh McDaniels' ability to switch it up. The one time I saw it was in the second half against Denver, when he started using more motion to get to get better matchups for Davante Adams, and that was great. It helped us out a lot, but I haven't seen anything since.
What is more inept? Offensive guru Josh McDaniels' offense or defensive guru Brandon Staley's defense? Because it's a battle of like pretty bad coaching offense.
Oh, it's the offense. It's our offense for sure. It's our offense for sure, because it's easier to play offense than it is defense. In this NFL, it's easier to play offense.
Well, the Chargers sure know how to make defense look difficult. They're 32nd in pass defense, and they've allowed 12.6 yards per completion. This is going to be Herbert throwing the ball 48 times and Jimmy Garoppolo throwing it 45 times type game, because Josh Jacobs and this O-line have not been able to get the run game going. I would blame the O-line more than Josh Jacobs, but obviously everyone carries a little bit of that load. And we were talking, preseason, like this is an offense where you want your quarterback throwing it 30 times. Well, it's forced to. It's turned into that, and this is the type of matchup where that's got to happen. I mean, Jimmy G's going to drop back 45 times on Sunday. Herbert probably 50.
I hope not. I really do hope not. Because look, our offense, we got to score big. We got to score big because they're going to score, and they're going to score big. So we have to score big. We have to put up points. We have to maximize drives. I'm not saying we have to score every single drive or score touchdowns every time we touch the ball. But you know what? If we get, pretty decent field position, we got to get points. We can't do 3 and outs. We have to sustain drives. We have to, we got to play that. We got to basically play how we play the Chiefs. Because we know by how our defense is playing, maybe not how they're the talent, but how they're playing, we have to make sure that we slow down and limit the amount of possessions by the Chargers, because if we don't, it's going to be a long road for us. If we give them a lot of possessions, they're just going to put up points, and they're not going to put up field goals either. It's going to be touchdowns. Our offensive line, we have to show some pride. It's getting ridiculous now. We're getting blown off the ball consistently. And does that mean we have to change up our blocking scheme? Do more of a zone read than power blocking, like just a bunch of double teams and scoops and scrapes onto the second level. I mean, if we have to, if we have to go straight double team at the point of attack, no matter what, then fine. But we have to try something different. And the offensive linemen have to look themselves in the mirror today and say, tomorrow I have to man up and I have to do a better job than what I've been doing. And if they can't, we have to switch it up. We can't just keep rolling the same guys out there not being able to do their job. Now, to their credit, I'm going to be fair. They've been really good pass protection.
Arguably the best in football.
Yeah, very good pass protection. And that's great. But you can't win consistently. And the Chargers have shown this. You can't win consistently and go deep in the playoffs and be that perennial playoff team if you can't run the football. And we don't have a Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
We don't have that kind of player where he's just going to sit back and just fling the ball around the yard. And it's going to, he can make any throw in any position at any time, any angle, roll out here, there, doesn't matter, bootleg, any part of the field is in danger. We don't have that kind of quarterback. So we have to be able to run the ball. And
it should be against the law to be as good of a quarterback as Justin Herbert and wearing the girls' soccer headband the way that he does. Like that should be a rule. Like it's California. Like we love making laws for everything. Why can't we do a law for that? Like that should not be allowed.
Look, if you're like playing in like the Premier League and you're a soccer dude, yeah, you can go ahead and play.
That's what it's for. That's a soccer hairband.
It just, I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time like trying to making fun of this guy because he's really good. And if we don't have that, right? In this division, if we don't have a Justin Herbert, if we don't have a Patrick Mahomes, we have to have a Dolphins.
How is this allowed? Look at this thing. Is he a JV girls soccer player? Or are you an NFL quarterback?
He looks like homegirl from Bend It Like Beckham. What was her name? Keira Knightley? Is that who was in it?
Like, seriously? Like, does this guy not have friends? Does this guy not have like bros he grew up with that are like, dude, what is that thing? Take that off. Like, did he not?
You know what
he does have? Home?
You know what he does have? He has bazillions of dollars. And he could just say, I don't care what you say.
You know, my favorite part of the movie or the show Entourage is like obviously the only reason you watch that movie is because of Johnny Drama and Ari and how hilarious they are. And because it was early 2000s and like seeing boobs on TV was still a big deal.
You guys watch Viking Quest?
But number 4, the fourth best thing about watching Entourage when it was in its prime was like the idea that like this world famous billionaire actor who's got women thrown at him, people kissing his butt everywhere he goes. He still had his boys that like kept him in check. Like, all right, we're not going to let you start wearing like 17 bracelets or something like that, right? Justin Herbert needs that. Like he needs like his boys from high school to be like, dude, why are you looking like Bend It Like Beckham? Like get your act together. You know what I mean? Because when you're that rich and famous and living in LA, you're surrounded by yes men. Like he's a prime example of why you don't let your high school boys disappear. Like, this is why you keep it with the guys that knew you when you were like pimply faced and like getting boners in homeroom. This is why right here.
Oakland fan, thank you so much. We are now going to refer to this man as Sporty Spice and nothing else. There's the
Sporty
tight end
Spice.
that will remain nameless and Sporty Spice. That's it.
Done. It is
Sam A, I love your optimism, but if you think this team is only going to score 21 points against us, you're sorely mistaken.
Well, if you ask Patrick Graham, turnovers come in waves. So if it's like being bottled up, you know what I mean? It's like, because you haven't had any takeaways at all this season, we're going to get like 5 against the Chargers, according to Patrick Graham. They come in waves, Soto. You got to listen. You got to be patient. So, turnovers just come magically, and they come in waves. Tidal waves.
This is my issue. And I'm going to be serious for a moment.
I don't believe it.
We cannot create turnovers playing a conservative style defense. We have to play more like we played against Pittsburgh to create turnovers. Mm-hmm. I don't think Patrick Graham, and to a larger extent, Josh McDaniels, would let Patrick Graham have a more aggressive defensive call style on this game, because he doesn't want to get blown out. He wants it to be a lower scoring game. Let them score, but let them take a lot of time to score. I honestly think right now, Josh McDaniels is in preservation mode because he feels the footsteps behind him. He feels it. And he can't, if his offense is not clicking, he can't employ an aggressive defense to go out there and potentially get burnt by a lot of points and lose, 35-6, 35-13. Like, that can't happen to him. Because if that happens, I'm telling you guys right now, hot take of the day, if we get blown out in this game, Josh McDaniels could get fired. Because last week, more so than losing the game last week.
Fired after the game, like fired immediately.
Like before the next game, before we played the Packers. If more pissed off than what pissed off Mark Davis more than losing a game that we should have won against the Steelers, mm-hmm. is looking at his crowd in the stadium that he finally got built, in the stadium that his dad tried forever to get built, and he finally was able to get. His crowning moment was getting that stadium built. Looking out into the home opener when he celebrated Ken Stabler and finally got one of his initiatives passed to get rings given to post-mortem Hall of Famers, and one of them was his guy. Look out into the crowd and see a sea of yellow. Mm-hmm. That's what pissed him off even more. And you know how you combat that? You combat that by winning. And if your head coach goes out there and continually gets blown out and have poor performances, because we have 2 poor performances in a row, a third one, and you get blown out by the freaking Chargers, I don't know, man. If it was me, I would have put it out of the realm of possibility if we get embarrassed tomorrow. If we get embarrassed tomorrow, just be prepared for it.
Well, I think a lot of things, like when you line up like coaches versus coaches, personnel versus personnel, it's one thing. And then you add intangibles like whatever's going on in the Raiders locker room with Chandler Jones. We heard Davante Adams' comments after the game last game. What's going on in that Raiders locker room right now? I think that's the big X factor to me. Because the Chargers are the Chargers, right? We've split games with them every season since 2020. And they've been much better than us personnel-wise each one of those years. And we still split games with them every. When I talk trash to, my Charger fans that are buddies, it's like, dude, you're better than us at almost every position, and we're still gonna go 1-1 against you. Like, that's just how inept this franchise is and how bad Brandon Staley is. But if we are a mess, if it's toxic in that locker room, if nukes are dropping all over that locker room, I think that's when we know when things are bad. I think that's going to be the telltale sign for me, because the Chargers still the Chargers. Brandon Staley still Brandon Staley. we could lose by 2 touchdowns tomorrow. And I'd be like, okay, all right, we'll get them in December whenever we play them again, right? If we get blown out, if we get embarrassed, if there's a lack of effort, if guys are giving up, that's not the Chargers being better than the Raiders. That locker room has gone toxic. That's what that tells me. Because the Chargers don't do that to functioning teams. The Chargers do that to teams that are beating themselves or have already lost before they walked out of that tunnel. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a lot of things during the game. But if we get blown out, that's what I'm looking for. Like that would tell me that locker room has given up.
Gabriel, I think Graham will be the first to get fired.
Which would be ironic because the defense is playing better than the offense.
Listen, I'll tell you something right now. If things go down the way I think, the way I said they potentially could, I don't think Mark Davis is going to give Josh McDaniels a chance to fire anybody.
Yeah.
Because
who could Josh McDaniels possibly make the scapegoat? Like last year it was Derek Carr. This year it's like, who can we blame? Like who's going to take the blame for this offense sucking? Like it's all your guys, Josh.
Look,
it's your guys, your system.
I'm playing Mark Davis. Well, I really hung my hat on Jimmy Garoppolo coming in and being able to pick this offense up a little bit quicker, but looks like it was a little bit too much time away from the system, and he was hurt, and although he was taking mental reps, he wasn't there on the field, and this and that, and it's just going to take a little bit of time, and Mark Davis should say, you knew he was going to be out. Well, how did you plan for this? It wasn't like he got hurt after you signed him.
Or Brian Hoyer. It's like, okay, there's your answer.
So yeah, he can make all the excuses he wants. Ultimately, everything falls at his feet. Mm-hmm. Everything is going to be, everything rolls up to him because you keep asking why. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo just isn't, he's not picking up the offense as quickly, and he's not reading the going through his progressions as fast as he needs to. Well, why is that? Well, he was hurt and he missed a lot of preseason, and he was taking mental reps, but he just wasn't out there with the guys. Well, why did we sign him? See, it all just rolls back to him.
Why'd you give him $33 million of my money then?
It's like, if you're going to give him that kind of money where he was successful, at least run an offense that's somewhat similar to what he ran in the past.
This is what I don't get. Jarrett Stidham played really well in 2 games against 2 of the best teams in football last season, and they let him walk to Denver for pennies. Like that's your perfect backup. That's your perfect backup. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, the most injury-prone quarterback in football, and you got Jarrett Stidham, who played really well in 2 games off the bench, knows the system, on the team. Denver got him for like 2 seasons, like guaranteed like $5 million. It was like $10 million, like guaranteed 5. That's nothing. Why'd you let him walk? Unless Jarrett Stidham just like didn't want to play for McDaniels.
Didn't want to come back.
That's even worse, right? That's even a worse sign when you got a guy like, if you're a backup quarterback in the NFL and you want to start, right? If you want to be like, hey, I want to prove I'm the man, I can carry this team. Who's the one quarterback you want to play behind? Jimmy G. With a coach, a franchise you're on. Like, it's either a huge screw up by Dave Ziegler and the team that they let Stidham go, or it's even worse that it's so toxic and crappy over there that Stidham's like, I'd rather take less money and play at elevation. I'd rather not be able to climb up stairs and be able to breathe normally because I'm a mile high up in Denver than play for Josh McDaniels and the Raiders. It's one of those 2 things. It's either one's not good. It's brutal. Injury report. You want to hear some good news? The Chargers are beat up. Really beat up. Joey Bosa has not practiced all week. Questionable. Austin Ekeler, limited all week. Doubtful. Derwin James did not practice all week. Doubtful. And then Mike Williams, like we talked about, had his torn ACL out for the season. Raiders, not quite as bad, but there's a big one here. Maxx Crosby, limited all week, questionable. I feel like Maxx
He practiced yesterday. He practiced on Friday. He'll be fine.
Yeah, limited. He was limited on Wednesday, limited Friday, didn't practice Thursday. I'm hopeful, but he might be a little lame with the bad knee. And then Jimmy Garoppolo has been limited. What is this deal? He's technically not in concussion protocol anymore, right?
No, he still is.
He's still in protocol. He's still technically in protocol. So he's still a whatever. We're still a who knows. And
he hasn't been cleared yet.
He hasn't been cleared. And like I've said, like he's the one, like if anyone is gonna play, I feel like it is Jimmy G because it was a kind of a weird, like you can't look at the hit that got him. It's just kind of like we're guessing. But it wasn't like, like Tua last season on Thursday Night Football where like, oh, this is exactly the moment where his brain turned into oatmeal. So if anyone I think could play even after being a concussion protocol, I bet you it's Jimmy G in this situation, but no player who's been in concussion protocol has played every game. And if you've been in concussion protocol, you've missed time. So those are two opposing views. I don't have the answer, but those are two opposing views for you.
Yeah, I just can't.
McDaniels has beat Denver like 50 times. Moster as their head coach. He's beaten Denver in every situation. Offensive coordinator, head coach of the opposing team, head coach of the actual team. He's still a thorn in Denver's side. He hasn't lost. What's his record against Denver since the start of the losing streak? When he was head coach, he lost like 4 in a row to end. He's won 3 in a row as Raiders head coach. He's like 7-0, making sure Denver loses no matter where he is as head coach.
It's just I took some time earlier today to just kind of like lay everything out.
This is getting deep.
And the more I start to, because look, the reason why I was preaching patience for so long, the reason why I was like, dude, let's just, because I like to have a lot of information where I can just spread it out and I can look back over time. I don't like making snap judgments like, oh, sorry guys, I was wrong on this. I like to, take my time. And then once I make a decision, it's really hard for me to change my stance. Because I have, I don't make snap judgments. And I am not very hopeful that we can do anything this year. If we get to 6 wins like we did last year, I actually would be a little bit surprised by how we're playing right now, and not just how we're playing, but how we're being coached right now. We're supposed to be led by our offense, and our offense is the what's bringing us down. So 10 wins in 2 years when you have 34 chances can't happen. So if there's a silver lining, we should have a coach next year.
Yeah, you are a Debbie Downer. 2 weeks ago, you were Mr. Optimistic. And I guess that's how bad we've been playing.
Because I wanted to grab all the information, because I'm telling you, just like I did with Derek Carr, I gave him 6 years of ups and downs until I finally had enough information to say, okay, this is why I feel the way I do. And it's going to be very hard for you to change my mind now because I have too much information. Same thing with Josh McDaniels. I gave him time. I looked at everything. And it's just his inability to be flexible, his inability to admit, he recognizes the mistakes, but to admit them and to show that he made mistakes, his inability to do that is what's going to sink him.
What's more likely? The defense gets a takeaway or Hunter Renfro gets 3 receptions?
Oh, probably a takeaway.
Really?
If it's Jimmy G, it's probably a takeaway. Because look, let's be
fair. No. The defense gets a takeaway.
No. I understand. But let's be fair.
Like my hand motions?
Yes.
I'm the defense. I'm getting a takeaway.
Hunter Renfro is not the first option or second option in this offense. Mm-hmm. And he probably shouldn't be. I mean, talent-wise, I think Well, I know Davante Adams is better, and I think Jacoby Myers is better. So, if you have a quarterback who is having trouble getting through his progressions, he's not going to get to number 3 very often before he either gets hit or he has to throw the ball away or he feels like he has to check down. The problem is, and Justin Herbert not turning the ball over the first 3 weeks, that's an anomaly. He's going to have some
comes in
turnovers.
waves, Soto.
He's going to
It
have
comes
some
in
turnovers.
waves.
No, screw that. I almost said the F word, but I didn't. Screw that. It's not about waves. You have to.
Flows like a wave.
If turnover
Tidal
crazy
wave.
Josh Allen faces a defense like we played against him every single week, he'll go the whole season without turning the ball over. You got to force them into turnovers. So, but for your question, I think it's more likely for us to get a turnover than for Hunter Renfro to get 3 receptions.
What's more likely? Josh Jacobs gets 70 yards rushing, or Jimmy G does not turn the ball over?
70 yards rushing, or Jimmy G doesn't turn the ball over?
Yeah.
Probably the 70 yards. I think Jimmy G's going to turn the ball over. Can I address this? Can I address this?
Again? Sure.
Brandon, I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm telling you right now, okay?
Uh-oh. If you love Hunter Renfro, be careful. Buckle up.
The perfect storm of what needed to happen for Hunter Renfro to get those that have that year happened. Number 1, the number 1 receiver was gone. Henry Ruggs got released. Number 2, the number 2 target, Darren Waller, was in and out of the lineup because he was hurt. Okay? So there's 2 things. Number 3, the head coach was gone. So the quarterback, who had a very close relationship with Hunter Renfro, was now the quarterback and the de facto offensive coordinator. He was calling the plays. He was calling the changing everything at the line. He was scheming to get Hunter Renfro the ball on every single play. He got something like 150 or something like that targets. He was targeted a ton of times. If you're targeted that much and you don't get 100 receptions, there's a problem. So you have a quarterback, you have no other better options, number 1. And you have a quarterback who is willing to stare you down, who is getting good protection, mind you, who is willing to stare you down while you make all your moves to get open and get you the ball. Granted, there was no better options, but that's not going to happen in this offense because you have 2 receivers who are healthy and who are better, who don't need all this stuff to happen to have good seasons. So did he have that year? Yes, he had that year, but that situation is not where we are right now.
Counterpoint. That entire defense knew that Hunter Renfro was the only option, and he still got open consistently because he is that good. I think he's much better than Jacoby Myers. I think he's a better route runner. He's had better production. I could be wrong. I think Jacoby Myers is better for Josh McDaniels, but I don't think
take away that big
independently.
year. What was he before that? Take away each one of their big years. Take away Jacoby Myers' best 2 years. And look at, because you have to look at the situation, RJ, the situation that he was in.
Yeah, bracketed and double teamed, and still got open.
I don't know that he was bracketed and double teamed all the time, RJ.
He was. You just said he was the only option, that Derek Carr was staring him down.
Okay, how does that say that he was bracketed? Now you're making up stuff.
He was covered.
RJ, do me a huge
heavily,
favor. Do me a huge favor. Find a statistic to show that he was bracketed after week 6, that he was bracketed most of the time, instead of just saying stuff out loud, because I'm telling you that's not the case.
Okay. That being said, you just said quarterback stared him down and he was the best option, right? So whether he was bracketed or not, clearly you're making a case, and rightfully so, that everyone knew the ball was going to Renfro pretty often because the quarterback was staring him down and he was the best option. Defenses know that as well. He still got 100 catches, still got open, still had a Pro Bowl year. The other years, it was either he was a rookie or hurt, or he had a pretty good year. Or Josh McDaniels, right? It's one of those. Either Josh McDaniels struck, or he was a rookie, and he was a 4th rounder, right? 5th rounder. I keep always forgetting.
5th rounder.
5th, right? Max was 4. He was 5. He was a 5th rounder, right? So who's going to be like, we got to cover this guy. He's just that good, and he gets open. He's open now. He's open all the time now, but he's not getting looks. He's not getting targets. This is an argument that's not going to come to a conclusion.
I've said it
today.
before. He needs to
Kobe
be
or
targeted
Hunter.
more often.
Yeah.
I've said it. He needs to be targeted more often. But you have to temper your expectations because you're going to take away targets from Davante Adams, who's killing it, just to give Hunter Renfro targets to make yourself feel better because the white guy got targets. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to do what's better for your offense.
You just throw it to him when he's open. That's all we're asking. I think that's all anyone's asking. No one. I haven't heard one person in Raider Nation be like, take targets away from Davante and give him to Hunter. I haven't heard that one time. So stop bringing that up.
Let's calm ourselves down. If we complete a pass to Davante Adams and Hunter Renfro was open, who cares? Now, if there was an interception thrown, an incompletion or whatever, and he was open, that's the issue. So we can't just make a blanket statement by saying, if he's open, you got to throw him the ball. No, that's not the case. Because if you have your number one target open too, you give it to your number one target because he's better.
You're arguing against yourself. No one's saying
yes, you just said it right now, RJ. You just said it right now. If you out of your own words, if Hunter Renfro is open, you get him the ball. Don't make those statements because that's not true, RJ. That's not true.
If he's open and like unguarded in the end, like on his way to the end zone unguarded, then yes, you always, and instead you go to Davante Adams for a 5-yard out.
Now you're going the other way. Now you're being ridiculous.
It's happened. You've seen the tape. How often is Hunter Renfro like on a clear out route wide open?
RJ, you're so transparent right now. You're going the exact opposite way. If he's wide open in the end zone, you gotta throw him the ball. Look, if in the confines of the offense in your progressions he's open, yes, then give him the ball.
Okay.
Is that fair?
There's that one, right? But you're saying like, well, don't take targets away from Davante. You're arguing against yourself. No one's saying that. No one's like, Davante should be targeted 25 times a game.
But that's not all I'm saying, RJ. I'm saying don't take targets away from Davante, but
everyone's with you.
In the confines of the offense.
All of Raider Nation's with you there.
In the confines of the offense, which means my number one is covered. Let's say he's number two. Then go to him and he's open, give him the ball. So in the confines of but you're not going to scheme to get him specifically the ball because you shouldn't do that. You should scheme to get your main guy the ball.
The bulk of scheming should be Davante. We're all on the same page here. There's not one member of Raider Nation that's like, give Davante the ball less. But if you're a top 5, potentially top 3 slot receiver, there should be some plays drawn up for you. There should be a couple. Right, there should be a couple plays. And if he's open, like he is very often, the ball needs to get to him. So I think it's a combination of two things, or a combination of three things, really. I think Josh McDaniels' system is falling apart and he's not changing, and Hunter's just not part of it. 2, he's not scheming anything for Hunter. There should be some. He's scheming plays for rookies. He's scheming plays for basically everybody but Hunter. And 3, Jimmy G's missing it when he's open. I think it's the perfect storm of ineptitude that's having Hunter have, being that good and having that bad of a season. Like Davante's like even Davante Adams, with how good he is still having a great season despite how bad this offense is going. Hunter Renfro's not Davante Adams, but he's good. He's really good. Guys that good shouldn't have 2 catches in 3 games when healthy.
Up for review in the confines, of the offense, your wide receiver is open. But if you throw to Davante Adams, who is a 50-50 situation, you're saying still go to Davante Adams. Make it make sense. I didn't say that. I think that's what you wanted to hear because I don't agree with you specifically on 100%. But listen to what I'm saying. In the confines, not vines, confines.
Soto's pissed when he's getting mad at your spelling.
No, because this is what pisses me off. Because you and other people hear what you want to hear, and because I don't agree with you.
Don't lump me in the same thing.
Go ahead and then I'll talk.
I'm just saying don't lump me with the up for review.
No, because you're doing it too. That's what I'm saying. But okay.
What words did I put in your mouth?
RJ, you take what I say and you flip it all the way around and take the extreme opposite stance to make of the absurd.
You just said I don't want people. I'm sick of people saying Davante take targets away from Davante for Hunter. I have not seen that anywhere, and you've brought that up half a dozen times this season. I have not seen that once. Have you seen it?
What I'm saying when I say that is targets. I don't mean balls thrown to him. I mean plays schemed for him.
There should be some schemed plays for Hunter. Far more for Davante.
So let me ask you a question.
But
If
some.
you run a play and both Davante Adams and Hunter Renfro are open, but you throw the ball to Hunter Renfro, is that a win?
No, not at all.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Is so you should always want to get the ball to your best players. Now, in the confines of the offense, how is a 50-50 ball what you should do? I'm not saying that. I'm saying I even said if he's not open, then go down to your progressions.
It sounds like up for review is trying to get a clarification. I think it's trying to get a clarification. I don't think he's saying that's what
he said make it make sense as far as like you don't make sense. Now make what I think you said make sense. But that's not what I said.
I guess we're reading what he's saying differently.
Another one. Yeah. So it's better to get Adams killed because I'm not saying that. You're hearing that. It's like all one side or all the other. In the confines of the offense, getting Davante Adams killed is not the right pass. I'm not saying that. These people are idiots today, man.
You are pissed when you're getting mad at the Windbags.
Yeah, screw these guys, dude. They just want to freaking they want what they want, and that's it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, yeah, if he's open, get Davante the ball because he's the best choice to get the ball. If he's not, then give it to somebody else. I'm not saying don't give it to this person or give it only to Davante Adams.
Well,
I didn't say that.
I think people just know that something needs to change. We're 1-1 again. Like I said,
I've been saying the whole time.
Like I said in game 1, right? If we put up 40, Hunter got no targets in week 1, right? If we put up 40, you're like, all right, yeah, kick rocks, Hunter. Like whatever we're doing, it's working, and we don't need you, right? But we're not. We're the only team in football that hasn't put up 20 points, and we've got a Porsche and Hunter Renfro just doing nothing. Like even his snap counts are down. That's the other thing. It's not like, Davante's always open. That's when we're going to Hunter. He's like, he's not even getting the same number of snaps as normal. That's it's like, all right, let's you got Hunter, like this offense is not humming and you have Hunter Renfro doing nothing. Like it's not rocket science. Like incorporate him into it. Don't take snaps away from Davante. Don't leave Davante open and throw it and force it to Hunter. It's this offense isn't working and we have Hunter Renfro doing nothing. It's like Josh Jacobs. Like you have the rushing leader of the NFL, 900 yards after contact last season. Even with bad blocking, Josh Jacobs can be counted on to get you tough yards. And he's not.
Yeah, but he's not going to do it against a loaded box. And he can't run because our pass is not working.
He needs primo box. He needs that primo box. Anything else? Home game.
Covered it all.
Home game, baby. 65% Raider fans at SoFi. Probably the only home game of the season. Maybe if we can't get a home opener with full of Raider fans, might be our one home game. Enjoy the yelling. Getting Justin Herbert, getting Sporty Spice's head. We will do a post-game show immediately following, as always, right here in the YouTube. It'll also be posted on our podcast forms if you enjoy listening in pod form. Enjoy the game, everybody. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me.